Day 28 started by moving my taxi to the next property, where I had to fight 2 zombies that was standing near the fence. One of them had a magazine to pick up. Later 5 more came to fight, only to meet their end under my feet. While after reaching the trash bin in front of my vehicle, there was another group of 12 that asked me to grant them eternal peace. I was pleased to satisfy their last wish, smashing one by one all of their heads with my weapon. After that, I decided to check the black van in front of the northern property garage. That seems to be in perfect conditions. But before I could do so, I had to kill the mechanic that were trying to work on it. After that, from the large shelf I obtained a welding torch, a mechanical volume 1 skill book, and a light bulb. While from the last wall shelf, a hard hat in perfect conditions, a carpentry chisel and a measuring tape. The last 2 are new items in build 42, and despite I still didn't know if there are any use cases for them, I collected them anyway, considering that it says that both are tools. At this point was time to get inside the van and check it for some more loot. This allowed me to find a spare screwdriver and a half-mask respirator on a seat. The last one would be handy to fight against the corpse's stink in large fights, plus it provides face protection. While from the glove box I got a steel wool, some paperclip, followed by some alcohol wipes and an adhesive tape. From within the vehicle, I was even able to check the trunk, from where I obtained some spare engine parts, a small saw, some screws, a file, and an empty gas can. The file is a new item in build 42 and is used to sharpen some weapons. Once I was done and exited the vehicle, I had to fight a new Zed that tried to sneak behind me. After he was dead, I equipped the new half-mask respirator for its face protection and went to loot the house on this property. The only useful loot was in the bedroom drawer, and it was a pair of heavy socks in perfect conditions. At this point was time to update the map. First, I removed the taxi vehicle location, mainly because I'm taking it with me back to base. Second, I added the van location because I have to leave it behind, but I should recover it later when I learn hot wiring. To finish, I tagged this property and its garage as looted. While reaching the house on the other side of the road, I had to deal with 1 Zed near my vehicle. But after that, I was in and started looting. At the doorstep, I found a cabinet with a CD player in one side, while in the second there was an entertainment VHS. Another VHS was hidden inside the bookshelf. Moving to the kitchen cupboards, in the first I found some marinara and dry ramen noodles I could use for cooking, plus a bag of chips. While in the last one that had loot, I found a granola bar. To finish looting this building, I picked up the microwave that I could dismantle later and sign this house as clean. Later, going to my car, I noticed a new Zed emerging from the tree line behind, that I dealt with promptly. After that, was time to get inside the taxi and unload my new loot on its seats. Once I was done, I drove toward my base location, but I noticed an opening in the metal fence and decided to use this opportunity to loot my first highway building. As soon as I crossed the fence line, I was attacked by 3 Zeds that didn't pose any challenge to me. One of them even had a watch to offer for my trouble. Checking around, I noticed a few more enemies, and considering I don't have any fences to use to my advantage here, I have to play smart and patiently wait for anyone I manage to aggro. I was executing this plan perfectly and was able to deal with 14 enemies without any trouble, until a group of 4 fast ones decided to charge me. I dealt with the first that died as soon as it reached my location. The other 3 was a little bit hard to separate, so I gave up on doing so and decided to fight regularly using my hatchet. Once they were dead, my surroundings felt somewhat clear, so I moved behind the corner of the southwestern building. This allowed me to spot a new group. The first 2 charged immediately and died soon after, while the third refused to fight until I was too close to him. After looting his watch, I noticed that I was out of breath. Plus, in the corner of the building, I recognized a side entrance. While opening its door, I heard someone behind. It was unsafe to start looting the property for now, so after killing a newcomer, I started checking around to see if I could find any more trouble. This allowed me to spot a new spawn on the road near my vehicle. After taking his watch, I went to the back door of the building. This allowed me to find some trash cans to search. In the first, there was a garbage bag. After removing the shoes I don't need, I took the licorice that I can use as emergency food. Once done, I picked up the bag from the ground. Moving to the second bin, I was able to find a cockroach I can use for fishing. While in the first dumpster, there was another garbage bag and a sack of sand. The last one can be converted into a normal sack that I can use to pick up sand, gravel, and dirt. Seconds after, I removed the rotten food from the garbage bag and proceeded in picking it up. Checking the second dumpster, I found a chocolate candy plus another garbage bag. To my surprise, this last one had a whole bag of plaster inside and a cordless phone I collected before taking also the empty bag. At this point, it was time to access the building using its back entrance. This allowed me to search a huge kitchen behind that door. Loot-wise, from the first cupboard I got an empty bowl and a pancake mix from the second, followed by some maple syrup, empty mug, and a piece of literature from the third. The last loot of this room was from the garbage bin that had an ice cream cone to offer. Later, I checked the director office but wasn't able to find anything useful in it. While exploring this room, I heard some noise near the back door entrance. My hearing wasn't lying to me, and this led to the defeat of a solitary Zed. After that, I went back inside and checked the male bathroom. It had nothing to loot, and while leaving it, I had to fight a Zed in the hallway. Once he was dead, I also checked the female restroom. This allowed me to find a plunger I could use as a spare weapon. To test my new find, I met another Zed that was crossing the hallway. Doing so attracted 3 more, and they were stubborn to fall. It was risky fighting inside, but I had no choice. To make it easier, I switched to my hatchet, and after a little bit of struggle, I was able to deal with all 3 plus a 4th that came soon after. At least one of them had a steak knife as compensation for making me fall out of breath. To recover my strength, I tried to sit in the chair, but for some reasons my character decided that he preferred to sit on the ground. 30 minutes later, I was rested enough to fight the Zed that was trying to break in through the main entrance. It was getting late. Ignoring that, I decided to finish looting this building anyway. This led me to reach the storage room past the bathrooms to the right. But the only loot was on the metal shelf, and it was just some bleach. This also was the last room to explore. For this reason, I went back to the main entrance where I heard more enemies trying to get through. I let the first come in and massaged his face to death with my plunger. But 3 angry men decided that it was disgusting and started to charge me. This forced me to switch back to the hatchet and fight them regularly. They were able to force me to strafe till the bathrooms before I could finish the first 2. I heard someone else behind, and to avoid being ambushed, I sprinted forward. Turning around, I dealt with the third, but this broke my hatchet. Same happened to the plunger while killing the newcomer. At this point, I was again out of breath. I took the opportunity of the small pause in order to take the hatchet head from the ground, considering it was in almost perfect condition. Soon after, while retreating to the emergency exit, I changed my flashlight battery and dropped the hatchet handle that broke previously. After that, I went outside to avoid being cornered and added a broken stick and my ball-peen hammer to the belt. Finally, it was time to deal with the 2 following me, using the broken stick. At the end of the fight, I was again out of breath, but at least I got a brand new kitchen knife as compensation. Later, a slow one came out of the building only to meet a miserable end under my feet. I double-checked the building for more enemies. Sure, it was risky, but I'm not yet ready to go to sleep. Inside, it was clear, but once I left from the main entrance, I had to kill a fast-approaching one. At this point, I was tempted to check the dart in the parking lot. It was locked, but at least I was able to loot the trunk from where I got a water bottle and an empty sack. Seconds after, a group of 3 was ready to fight. I pushed to the ground the fastest one, but despite I hit him in the head twice, he managed to survive. To my delight, while I was trying to push to the ground his friends, I noticed that he became a crawler. Plus, I managed to drop them on top of each other's, allowing me to easily kill 2 of them, before reinforcement tried to rescue the last one. To split them, I went back inside the restaurant and closed the right door behind me. One of them started to break it down, This allowed to guide the other one to use the other door that was open. To my surprise, I was able to make him use the window instead. This allowed me to kill him faster. Finally, it was time to deal with the dumb one that went for the door, and I was quick enough to kill him before fighting a newcomer. My bloodlust wasn't satisfied, so I moved back to the parking lot, where I disposed of a passive one. This action broke my stick, but at least he gave me a watch in exchange. I was starving to death, so I had to eat the ice cream cone to stop the health loss. Once done, I switched to my hammer and defeated the too hungry one that wanted my meat for dinner. Later, approaching the road, I was able to aggro 2 extra, but had to turn around and deal with the sneaky one. After a few seconds, the others was dead as well, and finally my surroundings felt safe. This is why I pulled out my map and signed this property as looted. I also signed the location of the dart so I can find it later. After closing the map, I had to fight a new enemy that came from the south. This action made me exhausted, and I felt that it was a good idea to retreat. On my way to the hole in the fence, I had to drink the whole bottle of maple syrup to calm my hunger. But this didn't help much. This is why I also chugged some chocolate candy while moving to the closest house I cleared before. On my way there, I had to deal with just 1 Zed. Finally, I was able to enter the building and used its bed to sleep through the night.